says that we've been live for 10 seconds, which means we completely boomered
There's no
this
point
shit.
in muting myself.
I mean, no, there's no intro. Welcome to the Shade Masters, the Shades of Dominion's new channel, which is in no way, shape, or form related to the carnal conservative in any way, shape, or form. We don't know who that guy is.
Absolutely not. Never heard of the
However,
guy in my life.
However, we do have insider knowledge. If you want to know why that guy got banned from YouTube, if you want to know why he got
And I can't keep getting away with this.
we were just talking about Sam Hyde and his shenanigans, and the man is a legend. But in any case, despite my obvious fandom, if you look at the link in this description down below, is a link to a Rumble video about why your dear Carnal got bombed from YouTube. And I thought it was a video where I had made uh, predictions about that which apparently shall never be spoken of again, which uh, which is hilarious. But it was after the fortification, and I made a
Oh,
video.
after all,
Yeah, it was in fact after fortification, after the fact, and I made a video about Biden can only fail, and that video was essentially, look, this old senile, demented old man has to follow the toughest act in history. I mean, Trump blew it out of the water, and
yeah.
Joe Biden has to follow up and do better.
Oh yeah. To put it in stand-up comedy terms, it's like Hannah Gadsby following Robin Williams. Like it's just that kind of level.
It, it's it's like Amy Schumer trying to go on after Dave Chappelle.
Oof. I would throw things at her at that point.
Everyone in the audience would be wondering how hard Dave had fucked her the night before and how much he's gonna brag about it on stage. Tell me I'm lying. Now,
I don't think I can.
now, okay. So the direction of the channel, obviously, we're gonna go a different route. We're not gonna go politics. We're not gonna go edgy. We're gonna go culture. We're gonna go art. We're gonna go role play. We're gonna go uh, critiquing Magic the Gathering as a in mechanics in terms of lore, which is I'm getting very mixed vibes from Magic the Gathering right now because they got their lore shit together. They've got a good story, but their cards are shit. Their cards are garbage, and it's and from a creator's point of view, as someone who is a writer, as someone who likes putting narratives together and weaving a good story, I'm gonna do a video tomorrow where I do a compare and contrast between Expressive Iteration, which is a very popular card right now. It's broken as fuck. It's broken, and it doesn't tell a good story. And I'm gonna compare that to now. Iterated expression is uh, two color. It's two mana cost. It's a red and a blue, uncommon. So the effects of it should be kind of balanced. We're gonna compare it to a three mana cost spell that is a common, and the difference in flavor, the difference in texture, the difference in application, and as someone who is turning a Magic the Gathering roleplay system and bringing that into life, we're going to explain how one card is superior to the other in terms of roleplay translation and therefore game mechanics in Magic the Gathering. So we're going to do content like that. We're going to look. If I'm able to get this next expansion of Shades launched and written because y'all are buying the core set, we're gonna do. I have a war game system that I'm developing. We have other role play systems that are developed. We have role play systems that are based on um, biblical characters. If you wanted to put a character in a biblical historical setting, you'll be able to do that. We have,
That's
yeah, it'd be very interesting, especially if you're, and even if you're not someone of biblical acumen, uh, because the way that the system's going to be broken down is by, um, uh, how do I put this? Not in essence morality, but your intention behind the action is going to drive your stat rolls. Um, but also, we're going to do a. I'm developing a system that brings Skyrim the uh, from the game from the PC game Skyrim, and the idea that every dice roll you take increases your stats is how the system's going to work. So every die roll is what gives you experience and fills in the dots and progresses your character. Working on that system as well. So I do have other projects. I do have other things to offer. But the big thing right now is the Shades of Dominion. It's the role play system that is based on Magic the Gathering that allows the player to finally, like no other system before it, uh, embody the action of being a planeswalker, being a shade mage. And we'll be able to talk about culture, talk about gaming, talk about the compare and contrast. So, yeah, I was at a channel that was almost 600 subscribers, and now I'm back down to 7. That's the
yeah.
situation we're at right now. So I need your love, I need your support, I need y'all to like and share the video, get the name out there, because my other channel is gone, and the only other way you're gonna see the other content that was on it is on Rumble, on BitChute, and how do we say? Because um, I've already done the back end switching. Everything that I make on this new channel is going to go to those channels, those old backups. The Carnal Conservative is continued on this channel. So if you're subscribed there, go to Rumble, go to BitChute. I'm on both of them. So you can go ahead and get links from there. Um, but they're alternatives. They're not replacements. They're um they're not competitors. They're they're alternates. They're backup accounts. I'm able to show you why I got banned because the videos are on these platforms still. So you can tell whether or not YouTube is full of shit or not. And I look,
Wow.
I was shocked when I rewatched this video how little I violated the terms of service because
Yeah.
it wasn't like I came out and said, "Oh, this is the conspiracy," and I'm like, "No, the focus of the video was not. It was it was well past election night. We're talking like uh, it was past January 6th. It was after January 6th, and the question there was, okay, we've had 4 years of Trump. He's literally blown it out of the water. How much are Americans going to tolerate 4 years of Biden?" And
Yeah.
that was the question. And apparently, YouTube does not like the answer. So that's why we're here. Uh, First major strike was also something we'll not talk about. But the second strike was a Hollow Knight chill stream where I didn't even talk politics. So fuck me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's that's a bit questionable. Yeah, and in a funny way, a couple of days ago, I had a bit of a prescient moment, I guess, and actually asked my subscribers if they would rather watch my stuff on Rumble or Odyssey or whatever. And then this morning, before I even found out about this, I actually went to the trouble of making sure I had a Rumble account in the Ardent Party brand.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just in case.
Yeah, and it's how do I put this? I, I'm still reeling. I'm first off, you're pissed, and I'm still pissed. As I said, I'd worked for 5 years to get up to almost 600
Just in
subs,
case.
to get on to almost 600 subs, and for those of you who know me, who who are, pardon for the noise, I apologize for the noise. Um, but for those of you who actually um are familiar with me and my work and the things that I do, it, man, this just blows, and it's this is most unfortunate. So, um, what kind of questions do you got for me, Arden? Because this is kind of where we're at right now.
One that comes to mind is: do you think with the Hollow Knight thing they were trying to give you a warning, or trying to intimidate you a little bit, maybe? Or
No, Hollow Knight was the writing on the wall.
okay,
It was the sure sign that I'm dead. Like that was the shot over the bow to let me know that the next one was going to kill me, and they weren't going to give me a choice. And it's not like my new content can give them opportunity. They
yeah,
still they still went with an older video that there's no way I could have avoided it. Um,
yeah. Like that's the thing that really struck me as odd is that they actually went back more than 2 years
yeah.
and hit you for something that was probably not covered under terms of service at the time.
Oh, and it's just the biggest fuck you they can give. That was, and if you don't realize that that's the point, then you're not paying attention. And it's yeah, that's just the name of the game. Like I knew when I got that chill stream strike that it didn't matter. It didn't matter what I did, doesn't matter what I said. It it just did not matter. I had to go. Oh, and in case y'all didn't know, I am repping the old Carl Benjamin merch. Star Wars is in fact pro Jedi propaganda. The Sith did nothing wrong. Alderaan got what it deserved. I too would
Darth
blow
Bane.
up. I too would blow up Antifa planet unapologetically.
Darth Bane was based.
Oh, hello, Kitty. You are muted because reasons, not mine.
Always.
I mean, I know that Ardent likes putting a gag on his kitty. I don't know about.
I'm not a cat person, man.
I stand by my statement.
Fair.
Kitty, you're muted. No one can hear you. What are you doing, sir? Is he in chat? No, he's not in chat. Why did you join the stream and mute yourself? You have a lot of. Okay, you're a young man and you're too young to be doing this boomer shit. Kitty,
He says he's not.
uh,
Is
hang
he
on.
not coming? Is it not coming through on
Oh,
OBS?
oh, it was me.
Speaking of boomer shit,
I too like to gag my kitties. I won't
and
apologize.
first, the third comment in that string was, "I'm not muted. It's not on my end. Fucking boomer."
I'm not apologizing.
No,
It's
no.
just, it is the way that it is. All right, you're unmuted. Speak.
Meow. No, no, he's muted himself. Now he's unmuted.
Uh-huh. Okay, we're waiting for a cat to talk. This is embarrassing. Dude,
Further OBS issue, possibly.
I don't know. It's not OBS. Like, I'm in the Discord server window, and
Oh,
he's not spreken. I have shown you leniency. Come on. Now he's just mad at me. I'm pretty sh- I'm pretty
typical
sh-
cat.
I'm pretty sure he's just mad at me. Ah,
Was ist los? Theater 9. I literally am speaking. He says he's talking.
no one. Okay, dude, you are not.
We're not hearing you for whatever reason.
Yeah, I literally unmuted you. Everyone can see that you're not muted. You are too young to boomer this hard. Like, check your system settings. It happened to me once. We're not perfect. Yet.
Have you tried turning it on and off again?
Good God.
If all else fails, have you tried kicking it?
Alright, so hopefully he'll jump back in.
Hello. Check your physical connections too.
9. Kitty sprechen Deutsch. Anyways, so Kitty's mad at me, by the way. He's very angry. He's very unhappy because I will not permit initiative to be based on uh, individual traits.
Yeah, that was something I was talking about as well. Like it seems to me that it's weird that uh, okay.
Okay, go on. He's not
Yeah.
talking.
No. It seems weird to me that you wouldn't have initiative be based on something like Dominion or uh,
Eins, zwei,
There you
drei.
go. There you
Am I
go.
what? Oh.
Okay, we can hear you now. Why are
was
you?
ist los mit dir?
Okay,
Ausländer drauf?
mein
That's
Unterfrau.
German.
Mein Unterfrau. Why?
Ja, vorher.
Shouldn't that be Unter Fraulein?
No,
I don't think he's
Unterfrau.
married.
Don't make me get any angrier. I will cancel this channel too, accidentally.
Oh, sir, don't give me your empty threats.
But no, so what did I miss?
Oh, nothing. In the description of this video is a link to the reason why I was banned, and it's a steaming pile of horseshit. But the there's a reason Susan banned the Hollow Knight stream to let me know that there was no hope, none. The writing was on the wall, and God knows I gave them plenty of material after I was done with the 2 week strike to find an excuse to do me in. But no, they still went back to like more than 2 years ago to ding me for election misinformation or what other BS. So
Your
that's
ideas about the future and the past is now fucked over. You're gonna get your shit taken from you.
yes. If I don't have the terms of service from the future, I will be punished today.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of an issue.
pretty much. So this channel is moving away from politics and into culture, art, uh, property, intellectual property, creativity, that whole thing. We're going to do reviews of games, reviews of cards. I'm going to do some not comparison, conversion videos where we take instants and sorceries and enchantments and turn them into different parts of the game that we're making.
So more of a creative analytics than it is a political
And there's going to be some overspill, obviously, because if Shades takes off and does well, I have
part.
a Warhammer, not a Warhammer, a wargaming system that I want to test out. I have two more roleplay systems in the works. I have more
Could
product
you elaborate?
that I can push out on Shades. Yeah, one is based on making biblical characters. Like if you were to put yourself into a scriptural kind of environment, you could. That's what that system is for.
Oh God,
And
I can see all the Christians coming after you now.
good. Anyways, now and then there's another system where it's a reversed engineer tabletop version of Skyrim. And the whole ethos behind this system is that in Skyrim, the leveling system is fantastic because it's based on what you do. So in this system, it takes that same idea and offers a certain level of experience based on each roll of the dice you make. So what you're rolling for is what you invariably will improve. Um, and so I wanted to take that idea and make it a percentile tabletop system. And uh, I've I've hit my first few kind of problems with that system. How am I going to balance not just difficulty, but shall we say more passive skills, things like block, armor, defense, um, negotiating combat, which rolls are percentile, which rolls are damage, damage per percentile, that all of that kind of stuff has to be hashed out and reevaluated because um, it takes the basic Skyrim system of um, uh, you have health, you have stamina, you have magicka. And what I did
Ah,
is I took those three attributes, and health is representative of the warrior skills, stamina is representative of the thief skills, and magicka is representative of the mage skills. Those are the stones, for those of you who are not familiar with the Skyrim game. Uh, the different stones tells the game which build you're going for. And
so
so
how are you going to limit their leveling system?
it limits itself. It's well, how do I put this? So at first level, you only need one roll, one dot, one box to check, one roll to accomplish the thing to level up. Well, in that next skill set, it's going to be two dots or two rolls. Uh, then the next time you level up, it's going to require three or four or five, and
So
so on
it's
and so forth.
exponential. The experience required is exponential, sure,
Yeah.
but I'm sure that unlike Shades and more like most other RPGs, you're going to want this to have a balancing system to not let the characters be untouchable.
Um, I'll be honest. The system in because this system does have leveling. Because every time you fill a skill, you check the leveling box. Which was another feature of Skyrim, is that each time you got better at a skill, it helped progress your level progression. That's what was pretty cool
Right.
about it. And so for each level progression, you could select feats and things to assist you in your adventure, in your gaming system, or in your character building experience. So that those are still things that I'm looking at. And so when it comes to hashing out the nitty gritty, really what I'm focusing on is um, the core goal of your dice rolls determining your character build and your progression, rather than experience being given out willy nilly and you set it on a specific career path. To me, that's not authentic. It's not real. And I'd rather have a Skyrim like experience from the tabletop where everyone starts off with generic character and you take that character wherever you want them to go, whatever they happen to
If
develop
you're
as.
hiding more often, you become more of a rogue. If you're punching things more often, you become more of a fighter, rather than I'm already doing all this, and then I want to do some of that too. Got
Exactly.
it.
And for me, it would be interesting to see how groups of players naturally develop as a whole. Like, do we all do our own unique thing naturally? Or do we all tend to gravitate towards the same strategies and the um, same skill set? Do we actually cluster like with like, or do or are gamers inherently diverse in skill and tactic?
Um, Another question I want to ask about this. Shades doesn't have it because these are what it sounds like. These are all your products. Shades has no racial or class-based bonuses.
Nope.
Certain shades have their debuffs, but they don't get anything extra unless you're the white mage, which you get healed, but that's literally it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's it.
with this game, do you plan to have playable races or character archetypes that they could aim for?
To be honest, my gut instinct is to say no, because one, you should be playing human anyway. Not sorry. Um,
No.
but I'm, I'm I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But it's the core intention of the system is not to say, "Oh, I want to min-max this."
No,
The
no, no. That's not what I'm getting at. So, like, for example, if I was to start this game, we all know me. I like the more gothic things: the vampires, the werewolves, the zombies, all the undead. Um,
Gotcha.
could I inevitably earn myself into one of these? I guess I could say sub-racial um stats, claiming vampirism, um, being bitten by a wolf, or turning undead some way.
Okay.
Um,
You see,
you know,
this is how we know that you're young,
oh yeah,
because
yes.
you're thinking of vampirism and werewolf and lycanthropy
I
as racial features, where my generation, they're curses, like they are
Well,
hardcore.
yes. I'm
Like,
I'm not saying that they're
we
not.
laugh at the stupid bitch who says "bite me harder, daddy."
I
Like,
I'm
this.
not disagreeing with that. Um, I'm just saying, like, if we wanted to delve into these curses, I say, racial bonuses because once you become a vampire, you are a vampire, regardless of what you were prior. Um,
Yeah. Now,
that's why I'm calling it a racial thing.
I don't
the
know if I would. I don't know if I would go with um, racial stats or racial bonuses. Those would be like powers. It wouldn't
Right.
necessarily change your strength. It wouldn't change your dexterity. It might change your perception. You might have different powers and acute hearing or something like that. But I wouldn't. I
call them
wouldn't.
something like cursed aspects or something like that.
Yeah. But it again, we're going off in Shades territory. Um, but this system is I actually the proto name for it is Myth and Merit.
Oh, cool. I like
So
that. That will
MF,
definitely set off the right people.
yes.
One thing I did want to revisit, you talked about how you wanted to start everybody kind of generic and see if they specialize, they cluster.
Yeah.
Another aspect of that that I was thinking about, because I play a lot of Skyrim, is how much influence each player would have on each other player's choices in that realm.
Oh yeah.
One of the things, now don't get me wrong, and Todd Howard, please do not strike me down, but I absolutely love Skyrim. But one of the things I don't like about it is that the easiest thing to play, and that almost everybody plays at least once if they play the game more than twice, is Sneaky Archer.
I've never done that
Never ever.
ever. Okay.
If you
I,
if you try Sneaky Archer, you will find that it is inherently more advantageous than pretty much everything else.
that
Now,
sounds like playing a vet sniper in Fallout.
Exactly. And I do tend to play snipers when I play FPS games.
and the reason I've probably never played it is because I love magic.
Yeah.
I I
Hey,
I I love my destruction casters. And when I didn't, and when I wasn't playing destruction, the best build I have ever made was a conjuration mage
Yeah.
because you bump that shit up all the way to 100 just by spamming that steel soul spell.
Oh yeah.
And let me tell you, um, being able to summon two Jamara lords at once,
Or as I like to refer to them, the goons.
you can kill anything. Like,
Yeah, the only thing more broken is to take that what's the stone that's closest to Whiterun, the ritual stone.
yeah,
The only thing more broken is to take that and just start wiping everything out around you and doing the skip a day thing.
yeah, and it's so after I got to the two Jamara lords, I'm like, well, where do I do with this character now? Well, I'm already in conjuration, so I decided, obviously, we'll go enchanting. I have I have tons of soul stones, more in abundance to go. So I unironically started picking up. I had conjuration heavy armor up the ass.
Oh yeah,
My
heavy
he-
armor. Heavy armor mages are fun.
heavy armor mage, and then I went into Morrowind, and I went into Morrowind with two Damara lords just cleaning house for me, and then I discovered the chaotic enchantment, and I said, chaos damage. This shall go.
Chaos damage is wonderful.
And then I just decided, okay, not only will he have full plate heavy armor with conjuration reducement enchantments, that now he's going to dual wield uh, chaos elemental blades, and that's what that. If anything ever gets close to him, he's going to be dealing chaos elemental damage, and it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
I would throw flame entourage at people just for shits and giggles. That was me being nice.
You met my friend over there whose head is on fire.
And
The most fun I ever had, and it was the hardest build to get finished, was the unarmed Khajiit.
oh really?
Building that building that thing was absolutely brutal for me. But once you get it to the point where you can take dragon bone armor and have all the different enchantments and things, that guy is absolutely brutal. And the funny thing was, the most common kill cam was a suplex.
wait. So I want to revisit the topic of us all being mostly generic. Um.
All right,
So with that,
I'm gonna ask you to hold that thought as I use the bathroom very briefly.
okay,
So talk amongst yourself for a few minutes. I'm gonna be
okay.
out for just a sec.
So
At this
at,
point, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to offer a disclaimer. The Shades of Dominion has no, I'm just kidding.
has officially been retired and has been deemed unworthy of YouTube. No. But no. So the thought process I'm following in right now is kind of where we're struggling in right now on Shades. If everyone's going to be generic and the same, when you start off, as you are with Shades, you're all basically the same in terms of stats.
Yeah,
Um, how are you going to determine your initiative? Right now, we in our Shade server are having a dispute about this. I am very heavily against the current situation and what we are all, and what's being said about how we should run our initiative. But that's just because I am, as many would say, young and stupid. Um,
no, I do see your point. I mean, I kind of feel the same way. I'm coming from a tabletop RPG background, and to me, there should be something completely divorced from your class that affects your initiative, or it should be class dependent, or at least in this case, Dominion dependent.
right.
Uh,
So, like in D&D, you can determine what your dexterity is based off of your rolls. Sometimes you get good rolls, sometimes you get shitty rolls. But you can always determine what your dexterity is, and that's how you determine your initiative in that game.
yeah,
In
and
this
there are
game,
level related initiative bonuses as well.
yeah, in Shades, it is based off of your movement divided by 10. Which, if you're a black mage, for those of you who are watching our Shades, if we're alive, I'm not fully aware. But for those of you who know, we have no means of determining initiative in Shades, which is where my problem is with this new game, if we're all starting out basically the same. I'm very much unfond of the current idea of it being based off movement. I strongly believe it should be based off of what shade dominion you are, just because it helps everyone have some kind of chance. But we
Okay,
can continue that one later
Kitty,
in our shades.
Kitty.
Yeah,
Or there
It,
could be
it's
some
it,
mechanic for
it's
increasing it.
no, it's based off of movement, but it's movement plus a dice roll. It's always
Ah,
been
okay.
that way. I never proposed anything other than like
I can see that.
right.
it wasn't
It
just gonna
makes sense
be
to keep the system simple, so that makes sense.
and and
Um,
and look, I understand that black is nerfed, not just in terms of movement. Black is nerfed in terms of combat in general. Their acrobat and athletic skills are there's nothing in there from black.
yeah,
And and there's good reason for that. Blacks I'm gonna watch how I phrase this from now on.
corruption.
Mages of the corrupt.
We'll call them the corrupt.
We'll call them the 13%. No kidding. Um,
We'll also avoid calling them the darkies.
Yeah, no, let's not fuck this channel up too. So
the
yeah, the
corrupt
corruption
ones.
mages.
The corruption mages is what we will refer to them heretofore. The corruption mages are honestly they come from a tradition, a mentality, an aesthetic where they are scholars first, uh, and
Guys, I'm on 1% on my phone. I'm charging home now. I might get off here in a second. Please forgive me. I will be back in about 10 minutes.
Aren't you too young for this boomer shit?
Just a little. I was not expecting my phone to die this quick.
Oh,
you
excuse me.
you should have known better.
Yeah, I probably should have, considering I'm fucking on it all the time.
You know, we need an admonish button on this channel now.
I am nowhere near that sophisticated.
Yeah, me either.
It is
I
what
just
it
started
is.
looking for a soundboard setup, so
Y'all can shame me in shades later.
Oh, I'm not putting Kitty in a corner. He might shit somewhere.
nobody puts me in a corner.
As long as I got my litter box, I'll be okay. Just don't get a spray bottle.
All
I
right,
have a
so
spray bottle here somewhere. Come to think of
but
it.
no, and in the original lore of the inspiration, which is Magic the Gathering, that's not a secret. Um,
Okay,
Black
it's got an alternate.
mages are nerfed in the athletic department because these are not primarily people of uh, these are people who have traded athleticism for power, and all of the physical attributes that they achieve are afterthoughts. They're and besides, every single black planeswalker you can think of, with the exception of maybe Sorin the vampire, are the kind of planeswalkers who get hit first and then act later, not because they're slow, but because of hubris. It's part of what they are. Like,
So they're kind of the how dare you sort.
no, they're kind of the take a hit. Oh, that was cute.
You
Like
hit
it's
like a bitch.
Well, okay, yeah, but you've also got to think about how often your creatures are going to have more toughness than what a party could deal. Like for example, the creature we fought this last week. Go watch episode 2 for those of you who aren't aware. Oh wait, fuck.
Good chill. Good chill. Way to make
yeah.
up for the
I
boomerang.
I tried, but you know, back on our last episode, we had a creature that had 3 toughness but 9 wounds. Any
Yeah.
one of us could have dealt an entire wound during our combat. In fact, there were multiple turns for each of our players where we did deal an entire wound.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple of my attacks, multiple of the blue mage's attacks, mostly thanks to me because I gave him the death touch. But the problem is that even if they're because their toughness is so little, it can ruin the. Fuck! I'm dying. I'll be back in a minute.
Bye.
Okay, so first it was the phone, now it's him.
They die so fast. Like
Oh well. At least there's like 8 billion more of them.
we barely knew thee, kitty.
Poor kitty, we
And
barely knew you.
you know, given the current environment, I would not. I would not want to steal the shtick of the Candyman.
No, that's true. But then again, I've been doing the fake Irish accent longer than I've known about who that guy was, so.
This is true. This is true. Now, and by the way, I stepped off to pee. Did you shill the bathwater yet? The
No, we keep forgetting.
Shades of Dominion bathwater. It's a thing.
Yes,
Totally a
yes,
thing.
and it comes with free hair shavings if you can find any. A complimentary tube of Arden's head wax.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right.
Oh dear God! It it's easy to tell that I've been awake far too long.
Likewise. Likewise.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been. By the way, I know Bezek should be watching this, and fuck you. I'm improving on the thumbnails, you little Aussie bitch. I'm improving.
Uh, I came up with a perfect excuse. I only have so many hours or so many weeks that I can work in the shed before it gets too cold to do that. So when it gets too cold to do that, then I can focus on thumbnails.
You know, I just
That's my
realized that.
story, and I'm sticking to it.
You know, I just realized that I was able to finally start doing videos on my laptop, and because of that, uh, like if I was still like I built my entire channel talking into my phone and setting up images. So therefore, like making thumbnails was just not practical. It's not something you can really do on your phone unless you're really abusing it like image flip and you're
Yeah,
constantly editing it, and it's a pain in the ass. And
yeah,
try to go on mobile and go find the selection to pick a thumbnail. It's a pain in the
yeah.
ass. It's a pain in the ass.
There's a reason why most of my live stream thumbnails are generally things like "Hi, how's it going?"
And I'll be honest, the lettering, the fonts for this one, I just passed it off to Mrs. Carnell. I said, "Hey, you're a femoid. You have you know what is appealing." And yes, I know, guys. We have talked about nerddom. We've talked about clearly someone who is autistic and detail oriented. I am a married man. You can do it too. You have no
Everyone
excuses
should have their
anymore.
own family.
You have no excuses anymore. You know that if you know that this piece of nerddom, this autistic spaz, can get it done.
Oh, that's another word we're not allowed to say anymore, by the way.
Fuck Lizzo. No,
Yeah, pretty
don't.
much.
Harpoon Lizzo.
Call me Ishmael.
Don't call me at all.
Oh, this is rapidly descending into giddy silliness. Uh, so, at this point, the Shades of Dominion would like to remind everyone that you should get a full night's sleep.
NyQuil. Promoted by NyQuil.
What happens? I have a question. What happens if if you mistakenly switch your Dayquil for your Nyquil and go to work? You should probably not operate that forklift.
At worst, a manager's reprimand. Hopefully, some good rest.
Potentially a drug test.
Fuck me. Please don't. That was a hard run. So,
So,
as you were on the black mages,
but
what
did
I
you
missed?
mend the harpoon?
I don't know.
That is probably the best possible answer you could have given.
Just watch the stream after. You'll laugh.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Okay.
so back to black mages, the corruption mages.
Please forgive our poor buddy here. But yeah, so they I understand that they trade off a lot of their physical prowess for their power, and I could see that. But again, if most of our enemies are going to have less toughness than what we can deal, Green is going to be the most lethal of us because he can deal extra wounds over a course of a single turn. And while Green may be big and heavy, if the idea of a wound is to prevent the amount of damage that can be dealt from reaching a certain number, say if you've got 5 toughness and they stop at 5 before you lose a wound, and you're dealing like 8 damage, it's going to stop at that 5 because that's what the wound is supposed to do before they lose part of their health permanently until they go and regain that wound. The black mage is supposed to be able to deal most of those wounds, as is what he does. He takes away the life. The green mage shouldn't be doing that quite so often, I would assume. And that's where my frustration comes in with them not having much of anything else to do in terms of playability and how they've been so nerfed. And if you're looking at them as the idea that they can sacrifice other things to regain health or gain more wounds, and you're not choosing Death Celebrant from the book, then how is someone who doesn't know Magic or other role playing games going to figure out, what are they going to be able to do to help keep themselves alive? And that's again, this is all where most of my frustration comes from in terms of a beginner's idea in a role playing game. I have very little experience in role playing games. I've only played 3 sessions when we beta tested, and then a one shot on D&D. And that is the entirety of my role playing game experience. As we're Ardent Party over here, he's got multiple.
Decades.
Sure, I was gonna say years, but you can make yourself sound a lot older.
I'm fine with that.
he's got so much more time in these games, so he would know better than probably I would, which is probably why we have a fairly agreeant idea as to how this works. Now I
Well,
get that it isn't.
and we also have our other player, the blue mage, who also plays a little bit of D&D, but he's mainly Magic the Gathering
Yeah,
deck
he and I
player.
would both fit in the same idea. I haven't had
And
much of his interaction on it.
and so to answer your question, Ardent, um how is Shades of Dominion and balancing in terms of character classes, so on and so forth? Like, you have other systems to kind of bounce it off of. What is your impression, especially in regards to Kitty's complaint about the apparent lack of balance between the dominions, apparently?
I haven't really played a lot of the game, to be fair. If I had played probably more than one Dominion at this point, I would probably have a better feel for whether or not it was balanced. But to be honest, I don't see it as being unbalanced all that much. Uh, Given some of the mechanics that Kitty has on his character, uh, I was entering into our potential confrontation with a serious degree of trepidation for my character, and even with all the healing buffs and things like that, I was completely uncertain whether or not I would win an actual fight between the two of us.
Oh no! If you put any two mages together, especially early game, without any modifiers, which is mostly how the game looks like it's going to be, with the exception of certain, attack rolls, then there's not a whole lot you can really say because they're going to be balanced against one another. But if you're looking at it in terms of AOE or character or PVE, the green mage has cleave, so they can deal extra damage beyond the wound. The black mage, especially if he's going last in turn order, the any amount of damage everyone else did would only be cleanup for the black mage, instead of the black mage having the first hit, clearing out an entire wound, and then letting everyone else try to do a second. It can really hurt that, which is like, so I could understand the whole, well, that's silly, but no one really has much of healing aside from white from all the you gained this much and the blacks in book based off of what we have in the book, the blacks one creature death celebrate, um which is whenever a shade summon you dies, you may choose to regain a wound. Which sure, that is an entire wound that you're gaining, but that also matters with how much toughness you have. Um, and that's what I'm seeing as the main problem: the toughness and the black mage mostly being used as cleanup rather than more of a assassin player based off of his inept ability to, or his highly apt ability to kill, but his inept in speed.
Okay.
Everything else has
Well,
decent speed, and they can.
here's another thing that's unique about Shades of Dominion in comparison to just calling it Magic the Gathering copy, because it isn't, and other role play systems is with Shades of Dominion, the uh, your skills are based on your magic, and you can choose when you build your character the kind of magic and your kind of style that you use when casting and using that magic. In character creation, when you're choosing your character aspects, you choose what kind of aspects you're going after, and choosing your style of aspects determines your shade afflictions. One of the one of the major aspects is combat. It is a style, a play style that you as a player are going to choose to embrace. And if a corruption mage chooses to be combat oriented, they have a plethora of options to overcome their weaknesses and their foibles. One, when it comes to dealing with damage or attacks to their health, their wounds and whatnot. i- If you want to be strong on offense, you take Reaper's Tap. You automatically deal a wound with every successful hit. But if
Hmm.
you want to work defense and you want to be combat oriented, you take on Stone Cold Stare. And what that does is it replaces every defense roll you make with with your endurance. Now, because you're a corruption mage, you're a death mage, you're gonna be able to have very, very high endurance. Your endurance is what you chose to specialize in instead of your athleticism. You chose to specialize in making yourself nigh immortal. That's because that's your hubris, that's your goal. You don't need to fight your opponent if you can outlive them or outlast them. That is ambition, that is darkness, that is overcoming death. That is their ethos, that is what they are. So you don't have to be a corruption mage and just take any walloping you can. You do have a skill test alternative by giving yourself the best chance by using your endurance skill. And so you do have that option. It is there. But is that how your character wants to be played? Is that the style you want? And I'm not saying that um, black isn't disadvantaged. It is intentionally. But there are counterbalances for this. There are builds that anticipate this problem. And I know that these solutions exist because I made it. I had to balance this on my own. I know it's there.
Yeah.
So I hear you, and I understand that. Yeah, your build has flaws. They all do. All of
Oh
them
no.
do.
And again, this is still early game for all of us players as players.
Yeah,
We've had multiple years to look over the product itself. I haven't seen it in a couple of years. Um,
dude. It building this system and tweaking the various attributes and the spells and managing the role play experience has been.
oh no, don't get me wrong. I do appreciate it. I'm just expressing my frustrations with how you're taking on with um initiative. That is where my only problem comes in with this game.
Well, when
Um,
it comes to initiative, I have to make sure that that it makes sense. And when it comes to initiative, when it comes to one's turn order, it doesn't. It should logically follow that your initiative would be based off of your movement, and your movement is is a combination of your shade score plus um, library points in athletics or acrobatics, depending on which one's higher. Because you're allowed to take the higher route. The thing is, black doesn't have any points in athletics or
right.
acrobatics. That was
Um,
intentional. However, you still get the bonus from your shade score. You still get
right.
that. And when we talk about initiative, it's going to be uh, a die roll on top of whatever your movement bonus is.
Yeah.
So,
Um, Something about our first session when we were doing combat. We
hmm
had done it based off of our distance from the target, which I thought was pretty interesting. If you're lucky enough to be closest to the target, you have, well, depending on who started the combat between the party or the AI, um, given in game terms, if the AI is the first one starting initiative, then they get the first hit. But if the party is going in to fight this thing, and they're just trying to ambush it, the closest one having the first hit, I would think would make more sense. The furthest being last.
You know that
You
you know there that is one of the things about the first section that was
just
deceptive.
off the cuff.
It was off the cuff and it was deceptive in that it gave the impression that because Shades of Dominion has an action economy, that when things like surprise are taken into account, turn order just happens naturally. Um, so it kind of tricked us into thinking that maybe turn order was something or initiative was something that we could just do away with. It turns out that there are other scenarios where it's kind of bland, kind of static, and you do need um, assistance with the players to establish what, who does what, when, and where. Uh, who does what and when is how we should say that.
If
And
everyone's trying to do something different and how to organize it.
exactly. And so that's and that's one thing with initiative is you shouldn't use it unless you have to. It is my personal opinion on it. Just I don't like every combat beginning with initiative order. Like I personally hate that.
So you
And
want
so
initiative to be more of a when you can't figure out what's supposed to happen, this is your last resort.
exactly.
Okay.
And that should be something that should be explicit in the Shades of Dominion because it does have its own unique kind of action economy. And because we are dealing with characters and players whose skills and goals are, larger than life. Like the DC system that Shades of Dominion uses is based on the Dungeons and Dragons DC system. That
Fair.
being said, your ability to roll very high on that difficulty is very, very high. You are a shade mage. You are someone uh who has
You can
skill
alter
bonuses.
things.
Yeah, you have a skill bonus ranging from 5 to 10 to 12 to 15 plus a 3d6. And the 3d6 is intentional because we all know what the average roll of a 3d6 is. It's anywhere between 9 to 11. Your average roll of a 3d6 is 9 to 11. You are expected to take a 10 on every roll when you're rolling your skills. So even your skill tests are designed to reflect the fact that you're a shade mage and not just a level 1 D&D character.
Right.
These are other
Um
things and other considerations that I took when making the game.
yeah. And this wasn't this the idea that where I wanted to lead this conversation wasn't meant to go straight to shades. Because you're talking about how you're making this other game that feels more like it's based off of Bethesda Skyrim. And when you start out, everyone's mostly the same, and you can level your character into what you want them to be.
Yeah.
The problem I was going to have with that one was this is probably more of a nitty gritty, but something you're going to want to think about before we get into that game is how you're going to work with the initiative rolls on that game. Especially if you're all starting out level one, squat out of prison or whatever. Here are your skills all at nothing. Your initiative is all going to be the same unless something's different about each one.
Um, that's a good question.
Because in Shades, being that you are with the idea of it being based off of movement, and you have the 3d6, you have the 3d6 as your roll, and that's going to be mostly determinate unless you have the advantage with your movement bonuses to it.
Hmm.
Um, so, and each, in terms of using that mechanic, if I were to be unbiased, it is good for every color to have their own average. But that's kind of where I get iffy on. And that's what I'm trying to overcome as someone who isn't experienced in creating games. I'm still trying to get the idea that each one does have their own thing. Um,
Yeah, here's my thing about that is I had to go through the work of going through each.
Mm-hmm.
skill. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I had to determine
How they're going to be used.
not just how they're going to be used, which colors, which dominions, and which attributes of those dominions would be represented by that skill.
Right.
And as I went through and I color coded and I counted and I balanced out which colors were where, how much color had this influence overall, and this, that, and the other.
As I witnessed when I was going to remake the PDF on Sheets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know from your own breakdown that it's pretty damn balanced.
Yeah, so I subconsciously know it. I just, for some reason, have a problem with not wanting to admit it. And I'm starting to see it. It's just, but again, if, I can understand that with the movement. Um, and if you're using movement as the modifier for that game's initiative, how are you going to work with the modifier for initiative on your other game?
Okay. Now, the reason for I'm not going to treat these games as the same. It
Okay.
wouldn't be reasonable. If I was to try and make an initiative mechanic for myth and merit, I think it would be something based on. Um, hmm. Sorry, the dog is excited, and we're figuring what that is. In myth and merit, I think I would have to base it on some aspect of the thief. I don't know which skill that would be or which combination of skills. Um, um, it could be a ooh. th- Hang on, give me one moment, because
Take your time.
there is something about um myth and merit, like in regards to stamina, that is pretty neat that I remember doing or making or something like that. And
Look
it
at that,
was,
everyone. We get a little insider look at this.
yeah, let me pull this up for a sec. Um
Another question that I want to ask while you're going through and searching for this. Will we be beta testing this live, or would you want to beta test this in private like we did with Shades and then post once we have an idea as to how we're playing the game later?
I haven't myth and merit is nowhere near ready
Right.
for
Um,
playtesting in any way, shape, or form. I would not feel comfortable
Even
busting
considering
that
that
out.
yet. Yeah.
No. As you can tell with Shades, I'm like I have to feel the power of the muse and the cosmos coming together and
You spent
making
like what, at least a year before that game actually even got its beta tested in, didn't it? Like you
no,
were testing a couple mechanics, but
I was it was 7 years of development off and on.
damn.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was
So I just
intense.
got there at the end of it. Okay.
Yeah, you were tail end. Um,
Have you considered? Are you
okay,
going to consider other people's thoughts?
of course.
And
Give me
okay,
one moment. Um, okay, right. Okay, so in Myth and Merit, one of the uh, one of the things that I was going to do for stamina, and and those who have played Skyrim know that stamina is something that you passively spend as you uh, massive click on the mouse buttons to do
attack.
a heavy strike. Um,
Mouse buttons. Feeling
You
personally attacked as a console peasant here.
mm,
fucking swine.
anyways, the pleb aside, so so the
Oh wait,
difference.
yeah,
I'm
pasta
I'm
fazola.
I'm I'm gonna fucking kill you.
We have a live threat on YouTube.
Oh
Everyone, watch
god.
out.
Oh my god. I'm deleting this fucking stream.
Oh,
Oh, in
really should have done
Minecraft.
this on home.
Minecraft.
Yes, of course in Minecraft.
We have the Minecraft server, of course. Now, when it comes to myth and merit, instead of passively spending your stamina because you're mashing a button, it's going to be a pencil and paper. You're going to have to spend it manually and consciously. So what stamina does is it instead allows you to spend stamina, to spend um, points to auto crit, auto succeed on a roll.
That's nice.
So that sounds a lot like the VAT system in Fallout. You could use it in your. So when you enter
Yes.
VATs, you could attack, and you
Uh-huh.
use so much per hit, and
Uh-huh.
They
then
are
you could
that's the games, so that makes
Except it's on pencil and paper.
paper.
yeah.
Right.
And stamina is something that you can build up. So when it comes to initiative, you use stamina. Of course you would.
Okay.
You could spend stamina
So
to increase your rank on the place. That's just an idea. I like the idea because it falls
Yeah.
in line with stamina being that thing that you tap into to exert yourself, to overpower your opponent, because that's how stamina is used.
why
That's
So,
not use the
kind
maximum
of available in
stamina?
of ability.
Why not take a hundredth of the maximum stamina? Because I don't know what your stamina multiplier looks like, be it a single digit, dual digit, triple digit, whatever. But you take 100th of the stamina and then you add, say, 5d10 to that and use that as your whatever die you're using as a way to measure your initiative in that game. Instead of spending your stamina, you have it as a base to understand where about you'll be.
well, you could, but why would you make it a random generic roll when you could have it attach to the actual resources and power of the player?
Because the way I understand how this would work is, say you have a base stat of 70 points of stamina you can use, and you're spending 30 points to put yourself on top of the rank. You're now down to about 50 points, and that could be anywhere between 2 to 5 hits if you're using, each hit to 10 points. Um, as where someone who's got a higher stamina pool could dip just a little bit more and still have so many more hits available to them.
And
Yeah, but
also,
again, that will affect your choices for character development, right?
and why am I supposed to have a problem with this?
Oh no, it's just these are thoughts I'm having. But again, I would be a player, I wouldn't be a developer. I'm trying to be thought provoking more than this is what I'm seeing wrong.
Well, and I, that is the quandary is because what players might see as unfair or unbalanced to a game designer just might, you know, so it's not a bug, it's a feature. Um, I mean, eh, creating a tabletop character isn't just about it isn't a utopian power fantasy. It's quite the opposite. Um, there's the point of making a tabletop character isn't to make a character where everything is always uh, wonderful and fair. If you've played tabletop for any length of time, you know that the dice gods don't give a shit about you, and
Right.
there's and the sometimes the systems and you try to anticipate this as much as possible, but there are just some combinations that are killer. There are there are just some ways of playing where if you don't take these certain combinations, you're just gonna get nerfed and die. And the way that Shades of Dominion has solved that problem is by making a plethora of options for you to min max and try to break the game as hard as possible. Um, and and the combinations are obvious. They're not hidden. They're not hiding from you. They're pretty out there. And so you, as the player, as the
Probably something that went wrong with my character creation because as a tabletop guy who's very much more focused on the play, I actively avoided min maxing
no, you're
or tried.
and that's here's another thing about your character build. You have broken potential.
Yeah,
You have it. You just need to learn how to play your deck.
yeah,
That's it. And you're I was impressed when we made your character because I could see it as an actual deck and you didn't know
yeah,
it. And
yeah.
so
That
that
that mechanic side of it, I mean, completely beyond me. The same way with Kitty that he has minimal RPG or tabletop RPG experience. I have very, very minimal Magic the Gathering experience because I literally played one session in like 95.
yeah.
Back in the beta years, good God.
Oh yeah, no, the Magic was a brand new thing at that time.
Mm.
And ironically, people were already looking at you guys like you were weirdos. And I was a D&D guy. So I was one of the weirdos.
Well, and that's the thing about the Shades of Dominion is I want weirdos. Like I don't want the normies. Get the normies the fuck out of here. Get like I am not interested in critical role players. I'm not interested.
Gatekeep. By all means, gatekeep.
I need look, old school D&D players are going to get pissed off cuz they're not dying fast enough.
Yeah, this is weird. I've played 3 sessions and my character's still alive.
How did I survive this dungeon crawl?
What do you
Don't
mean the first monster didn't kill me?
It almost fucking did.
now
Well, I was
now
pretty I was pretty toasty at the end of that actually.
now to be fair, um as a shade master, I got a lesson in game balancing, and Kitty played that game. Kitty's
Yeah.
the one who play tested the world one of the
I
uh,
playtested this world itself that we're streaming every Thursday.
no.
That was
You
right.
did another one,
Oh yeah, I'm
a
aware.
worm a world coil
Yeah,
scenario,
I had to
and
go and fetch the MacGuffin, and I failed to. I got to play with a couple of those
exactly,
mechanics.
and that was interesting. That was an educational experience for me then, because that's when I learned that a single shade mage cannot one shot one man a
Oh yeah,
uh
no, that
it
what was
like
it?
it was a Golgari grave troll.
Yeah, so I was fighting off a troll by myself. I was built pretty much the same way as I am now. I think I had red added in me at the point.
No no no
At
no
that
no
point,
no. It wasn't just any troll. It was a regenerating troll.
yeah. So, but no, my character was built pretty much the same way as he is now, except I don't have red like I did then.
Yeah.
I was still able to deal an entire wound of damage every time I went in to hit him. but he just wouldn't die, and I had no hope against it. Like I
Mm-hmm.
literally had the shade said, "Fuck this! You're not going to die now. I'm using you later,"
Yeah.
and caused me to suffer.
Yes. And so that was when I learned that rare the rarity matters, that the skill bonuses matter. And contrary to what Kitty's complaining about, it wasn't initiative that was the problem. It was the skill bonuses. It was the power and finesse uh, of the troll. The this undead skeleton troll that was just beating the absolute shit out of you.
Didn't it have cleave on it?
It did.
Yeah. So it was dealing like 2 wounds every turn. I was surprised I made it so long.
Yeah. But did you use Stone Cold Stare? Did you?
Uh, no. In fact, I didn't even know that was a thing until like 20 minutes ago when you first brought it up. Which is why it's not on my current character.
You did not do your homework.
I did not. I said I am going to go fucking lethal, and I didn't. I wasn't paying attention to the death. I was trying to focus. So my thought process when I made my character this time was these are about where each of my attribute totals sit. This one's got the highest. I'm going to focus more on this one, not quite so much on the other two. Or these two have the higher two. Maybe I'll leave the third one out. Which I will now use in future reference. Don't fucking abandon any of your attributes because they all matter equal when you're trying to break the game.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, no, I think that'll actually be the next thing I push for when my character starts to grow in his um aspects.
Okay. Because trust me, the I am a dick. Like I will let you die. Don't
I
get me
didn't
wrong.
notice, not at all.
But at the same time, like I want you to play I want you to earn your death. I want you to deserve it.
Yeah, you're going to die. I'm going to make sure it happens, but I'm not going to let you have a pity death. Fuck that.
Exactly. Like it's gonna be the death you deserve. 100%. So yeah, it really is about learning what your options are. So yeah, that's I hope because I can't justify giving Black an edge in terms of athleticism or
Oh no,
um
I
or
could agree with that. If
or
he's
initiative or movement because it's they 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 have literally everything else.
okay, as we play through the game, I'm going to try to pay more attention to that, so I could see what I'm not seeing, or try to see what I'm not seeing as I progress as a player.
Hmm.
So
Now,
I
okay.
no, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna ask, is there any other critiques or concerns about the game itself?
Um, Not necessarily. I am kind of confused in terms of how you would, as a person who is interested in starting my own session of this game as a shade master. I have very little understanding as to how you determine how leveling up your characters will look like. I know that if you're searching and investigating things, you can award your player something.
Yeah.
But how would I'm trying to figure out if there is a textbook way to go about learning this, or if
Okay. Um, from the Shade Master himself, I'm just gonna lay it out. Your players advance at the pace you want them to, or at the pace that they take the initiative to grow in. You'll notice that when uh, Ardent didn't get any library points last session.
he didn't choose to.
Exactly.
As where I started, hey, can I go check that body out? You said, sure, go ahead, and I found what I found.
Now, if Arden had investigated the body, he would have gotten either a maybe either a library point of wherever he wanted to, or he could have picked up one of the spider legs and went, "Hey, this is a better glaive than mine." Something like that. Like
Yeah,
it might have been it might have been a weapon that was more wieldy for his build and for his character. That's also a complete option because with shades, when you roll for enemies, you roll for the stats of their weapons and the stats of the loot as
Ah,
well. So when that happens, you already determined for the players what they're going to get at the end of it. So there is this really nice, fleshed out, because weapons and combat in Shades is so um, randomized. Because the question in Shades isn't am I going to win? It's how am I going to win? And so you have to anticipate and prepare for a bunch of strategies and a bunch of ways in which the weapons interact with the skills because it's all an opposed weapon skill check. So each weapon has a set number of skills that can be used to attack and a set number of skills that have that the defender has to roll for. So your play style is dependent on not only the weapon you're wielding, but the kind of style that the weapon is made with or that you use it for, if that makes any sense. To most of you, I'm speaking Chinese. That's fine. Uh,
that's another thing I want to ask
all I'm
because
really getting is I shouldn't have been squeamish about looting the corpses.
no,
yeah,
Yeah,
no, and in the Shades of Dominion, you munchkin completely,
yeah, yeah.
and and
you're a
and,
looter to the death.
and it's this is made with traditional min-maxer gamer mentality in mind, and forcing them into actual role play and rewarding them for that role play.
Yeah, well, that was basically what I was doing when I avoided looting the body.
Well,
Basically, playing the role playing the character build I had in mind.
we'll see if Jari decides to reward you for being her white knight.
Uh,
Um, Something I also want to ask is you
Area.
said that it's very highly randomized shades in this case. Um, how does the randomization scale with the difficulty? For example, a lower end creature you kill, when you randomize its everything, is it going to be smaller than, say, something of a mythic rare equivalent from Magic when you're using the card converter?
Um, I don't use the randomization for the card converter. That's a whole
No, no.
different ballgame.
So for example, um, you threw a rare equivalent at us the other day and
Yes.
provided us with a library point or the equivalent. Um, Now, if someone was to pay $20 and throw us, say, um, I don't know, old school Liliana before she became the Planeswalker, that mythic black card that she was, or any of the Nicobolas cards. If one of those were thrown at us, would our rewards be better than just a library point as the average reward for us? Or is it just as random there as it is for the rec?
To be honest, your reward for surviving a nickel bolus would be surviving. Um, I mean, what what do you want from me? It's
No, he is one of the biggest and baddest of Magic's lore.
I mean, we're talking about the nickel bolus. Y- y- uh, I'm
He
having flashbacks because and it's not just a flashback, it's trauma. That there are some cards that are in blue control decks that are in nickel bolas inspired that still haunt me to this day.
If you look at the story of what was it, War of the Spark, Nicobolus literally destroyed the entire Gatewatcher's minds.
Yeah.
So I know how powerful he is. But I have an idea of how powerful he is in terms of lore. And surviving him. But just as an example, he is a mythic card. Would the rewards for surviving be better than the rewards of, say, an uncommon or a rare?
Oh, obviously.
Okay. Um, and for those of us who are interested, who have been watching this game, myself included, who want to go and find out how we could do this, does the book have these conversions in there? I know it's got the conversions for specific races, like your dwarves and what they carry and what they have and things like that. But does it also do the same for difficulty?
No.
Okay.
Okay, in terms of difficulty, the only charts that are given is how difficult the enemy or boss is. That's it. Because in Shades of Dominion, your experience, your reward isn't based on what you kill. You're already a god tier character. You're already a head and shoulders above everyone else. Your experience, your growth is based on what you take. Now, obviously, if you're killing the Kobolas, you're gonna get some prime loot. Good luck getting to it, but it will be available after he dies. Um, Same for Liliana. You would have something like like the chain veil, of course. Like you, it's there are ways of pushing the story forward that would help develop the characters as well as other. In other words, I wouldn't recommend having a set minimum XP and that's the thing about Shades of Dominion is we're not talking about XP. We're talking about library points. We're talking about shade capacity. We're talking
Right.
about um powerful artifacts and skill bonuses and uh, because Shades of Dominion isn't about experience points. It's about what you take, not what some arbitrary number says that you've grown because you slaughtered 50,000 wild boar in Area 1. That's not how Shades works. That's it's just not how Shades works. Shades is a you grow based on what you take kind of mentality. And so that's
Hence
why
why the worlds
I
die.
yeah, and honestly, I like it better that way. I like it better where there's kind of a reward for interacting with the world rather than assuming that the world gives you something just because you killed shit. That's
Or
not,
because you did something. Yeah.
yeah, it role plays based on what you can take. Experience is based on what you can take, not what you kill.
Right. Um, no, so I think that's where all that comes in terms of shades. Um, like I said, if we're looking at this as a shade to shade thing, it is very much balanced. I'm just struggling to get over the fact that um I I personally disagree with the initiative order. And again, that's just because I am just such a twink noob. English, good job, May. A twink noob and just can't fucking figure shit out. Um,
I'm glad that you
I
got on
understand.
a live stream on YouTube and admitted to being a twink noob.
Hmm.
Props to you,
Noob
kitty.
I've got fucking balls, man. I am ready for all that shit to be thrown at my face.
You heard that,
Just
folks. Next time we do a session, you need to throw all the shade at Kitty's face.
I heard something about sliding balls.
I want someone to throw an Emrakul at my face. Let's watch me die a slow and painful annihilated death.
You know, I've had to consider what I would do if someone threw an Emrakul in the gameplay.
So
Everyone's
that,
gonna
that
be disappointed.
so that reminds me of another thing. I had asked you sometime a couple weeks ago while your other channel was under timeout because Susan said you're a bad kid. Um,
Susan would never say anything about such a thing as Shade Master.
No.
I know not of which you speak. I am a good boy.
Shades of Dominion would like to point out that they have no affiliation whatsoever any channel that has ever been yeeted by anyone named Susan or any combination of the words wajiggy and things I can't say on YouTube.
but no,
Susan's a
so
lovely woman.
Yes.
but no, so I was asking about taking the spell Dark Ritual, which is you play in Magic Dark Rituals, you tap one land to get your black mana, it goes into play, you get 3 black mana in return.
Hmm.
You said that you won't allow that at character creation because it has no essentially no sacrifice. You're not losing anything for just getting all that shade back. You
Yeah.
could just continue to cast it every time you recycle that spell. Especially with it being instant speed, so every time a creature loses wound as a black mage, if you have the right character aspect, you could just cast that constantly and never run out of shade and never need to pull from the world ever again.
Yeah.
So how would we determine how do we determine the spells that are capable and not capable of being put into our characters and when they are allowed? Are you using a number of bans according to the Magic the Gathering's formats and how many times they've been banned in a format, or are we talking about how
No.
limited it is?
No, I don't give a shit about Wizards of the Coast arbitrary banning. I could not give a fuck less. When we
You
talk
heard it. We know what spells we're putting in your white character.
but when it
Arden.
comes to um but when it comes to determining which cards are broken, I'm not coming at it from a mechanics from a Wizard of the Coast standpoint. I'm coming from a how does this apply in a role play setting? And can it happen? I'll give you an example of early development, something that I had to do to prevent something from being broken. Just to give you an example, um, flight is a full movement action, meaning that while you can react in flight, you cannot attack in flight. You understand?
Yeah. That we'll get into an entirely different delve with the turns in a minute, but go ahead.
And the reason for that is very simple. It, it would be too easy for characters to just say, "Oh, we're gonna make a flying creature that has ranged on it," and just completely spam that character build forever into all eternity. And so I've had to think, okay, if I make flight a full movement action and they're not able to attack on their turn, what that essentially means is after each flight, as they're in flight, they're taking the full turn. So it prevents them from being able to exhaust in flight, which every primary attack in the Shades of Dominion will cause your character to exhaust.
Okay, so a couple of questions I've got about in terms of the turn and what I'm going to call action pool because I don't understand that term properly. If you're only allowed 2 half actions and everything you do is a half action with the exception of your instant spells, how are you going to how can a character be very broken? If movement I feel like shouldn't be taking up too much of a turn. Maybe at best half of an action for a full movement instead of half movement for half action. Just because it forces you to choose: are you going to move that turn? Are you going to move and attack? Are you going to attack and cast a spell? Are you going to cast 2 spells? Are you going to cast a spell and ready a spell? Ready a spell and cast a spell? Like what combination of things are you going to do? And you only have 2 things you can do in your turn.
Yeah.
Now, I could kind of understand forcing us to strategize how we are playing our game. This does bring me into another minor complaint I have about being so inept as a black mage. I have to ready myself every turn, which costs me half an action, and then I have to choose what my only other thing I can do is that entire turn.
Yeah, that's not just you. That's every other mage.
Oh no. I think this mostly has to do with the fact that I was being the primary target of that creature and was being exhausted every turn because I was defending I was attacked every turn.
Its own people. Like, I mean, what do you want
Oh
from
yeah.
me?
No. It's not that. Like I said, I am assuming that that's what was going on. It was pissed off at me. I was its primary target. I was having to do that. And this isn't a complaint on the black shade mage. This is a complaint for all shade mages. It forces us to only have half of our abilities for an entire turn. If we're out of library, we have to spend our unreadied half of the action to ready a spell, so that way we've got something we could do, or to try and shove the thing away, whatever it is we try. Move, attack, cast a spell. We're limited to only half of our total things every time it comes back to our turn if we've lost a wound. Which is why I think movement maybe at most should have little to no action cost.
No.
I agree with that. Because
You-
if your movement doesn't have at least some cost, then there's no reason to move in like that.
So the way I understand it, we each have a movement speed. I feel
Yeah.
like that should limit how much we could move no matter what is going on. We can't move any more. We can move less, but we can't move any more than that as a free action. And we cannot buy with our action pool for that escape. We are limited to that at best. So if your movement speed, like for a black mage, is only 25, you could only move 25 on your turn. And then you have your whole action to do whatever it is you're going to do, whether it be ready a spell, cast a spell, ready yourself, whatever. It's not your movement has a cost. It is this is your limit kind of a situation.
Yeah, well, that's essentially straight out of D&D. Like you only get.
Fair. That might be an oversight on my end.
And
Yeah,
in shades,
I would. What I would really want if it was something like that, because the shades, the mages are supposed to be, like we say, epic or heroic or what have you. It would make sense to have some mechanic available that would allow you to extend your movement, either spending shade or what have you.
there is.
Okay.
It's currently taking up more of your.
More closely.
So the way I understand it right now is you could move. You take half an action to move half your speed. So I move 25 feet is what I get to move. I can move 2 tiles, which is about 10 feet, as half action, or I can move 5 tiles as a full action.
Yep.
And that's how that works.
Yep.
Now, if I were to move 5 feet twice, would that take up that whole action because I'm moving twice, or would it only work as a half action because I'm only moving a total of 10 feet? The reason why I ask is because if you're moving around a corner, you're going 5 feet one direction and then 5 feet in another direction.
Yes, but you're still traveling 10 feet continuously.
Fair. That's just I'm looking at tiny details. That's where my mind goes. Where are all the tiny details coming from and where they go? I don't think I could actually put anything intelligent towards the game development. Just these are things I noticed.
Mm. Yeah, for me. This is just especially when we talk about initiative. I've already given my thoughts about it. You only declare initiative when it's absolutely necessary. If it's
Oh
something
yeah.
where you're missing clarity, there aren't other factors into play like sneaking, surprise, where you obviously have to jump on the opponent. You have distance. You have other factors. So initiative isn't something you should do until you absolutely have to anyway. So
Right. This was less on initiative, more on movement in terms of everything else. But um, no, I think I'm good with this topic. Like I said, I'm just pointing out things I noticed.
okay. And yeah, corruption mages are slow.
Oh yeah, a corruption mage is only given 25, no matter what your skills look like, no matter where you put your attributes. As long as you're purely a corruption, you have 25 movement.
Yep, that's pretty much it. Mm,
Hey, at least you get to deal entire wound every time you touch something.
exactly. You get to auto wound. You get to have access to immortality. You can you have stone cold stare when immortality is just too troublesome to bother with.
It's Stone Cold Soul here on the combat aspects
Oh,
under death.
is it stone cold soul? Okay, that
Yeah.
works. Either way.
3 cost Stone Cold Soul. Whenever or when attacked in combat, you may choose to change your defense skill roll to your endurance skill instead. This ability can only be used if you could have made eye contact with the attacker before the attack was made. This
Yeah,
applies even if you were surprised by the attack.
yeah.
So it says if you could have. Does that mean that you're in an open room and they're there, you just haven't, or do you have to make eye contact first?
Stone cold stare does not work on surprise attacks.
Stone Soul does not, even if you were surprised by the attack.
Oh, let me rephrase that. It doesn't work on surprise attacks from the back. Like it.
Okay. So if they're coming in at you from your vision or from your peripherals, then you're going to have that ability. Otherwise, if you're looking at it as a
And it's not about whether or not um you can see their eyes. It's whether or not they can see yours.
okay. How would you determine the cone in which they could see your eyes? Obviously, if they're right in front of you, you can tell.
You're asking the Shade Master if he cares.
Well, you probably not. And you're the one that made this game. You have complete control over the game. But for someone who will play by the books as a rules lawyer, because those players do exist out there, I myself am probably one of them.
Okay.
They're going to want to know this information.
Well, the best way to use the information is to dare I suggest, um, be creative and create a good roleplay experience. That is what the rules are there for.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about um, as you can tell, it's not about precision. It's about the soul of the thing. And it's Stone Cold Stare is one of those things where you have to understand that this is a trait that the Shade Mage has taken on themselves as a form of protection. And most cases it's going to apply. It's about you as the Shade Master being able to craft specific circumstances where it doesn't. So most random ass attacks against this character will include and will be active. Stone Cold Stare will be active against most attacks. So you shouldn't have to worry about cones of effect so much. Um, you need to worry about A, the random one off where you can't justify giving it to them, and B, when you don't want it to work. That's what it's there for.
If you just want to be a complete dick to the character, here you go. You're gonna take this no matter what you do.
Speaking of being a complete dick, I found a card that.
Uh-oh.
Okay, Arden, you cut out right there.
Oh, sorry. Probably the hour. Speaking of being a dick, I have a card that I've discovered that I'm interested in bringing into the game, and just for the illustration factor for people who haven't played, if they're interested. Give me just a second here. I'm trying to get an image up, and it's not working.
Mm.
Right, that reminds me of another spell I saw the other day that was banned, and I want to know if I can use it in my character.
Hang on, give me a second. So let me add that to the stream. Um,
So
da-da-dum.
that's Light of Day. And what it says is black creatures can't attack or block. And yes, there is a very obvious ulterior motive. Killer.
You
Uh,
fucking asshole. I see what you're doing over there.
but as you can see, it costs 3 white mana, and literally all it says is that black creatures cannot attack or block. So
So,
what I'm wondering about is how you would convert something like that card to a spell in the game or an item in the game or what have you.
All right, so give me a moment. We're gonna do this real quick. What is the name of that card again?
Light of Day.
Light, light of day.
Yeah. Well,
All right.
there's I would be more interested in, but no, they've been yeeted by wizards, and yeah, we'll talk about those off stream.
So
oh no,
here,
I'm going to talk about one here and now.
so here we have. I've actually pulled up the card on the stream. Light of
Okay.
day is
Yep.
it costs 3. It costs 4 converted mana cost. It's an enchantment. Black creatures can't attack or block. It's a an uncommon enchantment. Now, you know what that means, right? Because it is an enchantment, that it's not going to be a card or a spell template.
Okay. Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't.
Wait,
enchantments in this game are replaced by um, shade aspects or character aspects.
wait.
Ooh.
So, what are the aspect spells supposed to be then?
Aspect spells are enchant creatures, which are not global enchantments.
I see. Okay.
Okay. Ah, fuck. So that changes this.
That,
Oh.
that throws that completely out the window then.
Well, it doesn't
Then with
throw
the
it
one
out.
I want to ask about.
Guys, how else did you think we were going to work enchantments into a roleplay game? Honestly.
Honestly, I have no idea. Like I said, I've got very minimal experience. I see where you're coming from, but I've got one that is affecting the entire board, much like that one, but much more aggressively.
Okay.
Um, the spell is a rare from Legends. It costs 4 blue. I'm not going to read. Are you familiar with what I'm talking about? Hello?
Oh yeah, I know which. Okay, I have it pulled up in the Gatherer.
So you know exactly what spell I'm talking about then.
Okay, no, but this is funny. Okay, it's called Invoke Prejudice. It costs 4 islands. It's an enchantment, and it reads whenever an opponent casts a creature spell that doesn't share a color with a creature you control, counter that spell unless that player pays X, where X is its mana cost, is its mana value. Basically, it doubles the mana cost of you casting a spell that doesn't share color with your opponent. Now, on the Gatherer, there's not an image of the card, it's a placeholder. And this placeholder reads, quote, "We have removed this card image from our database because it has racist or culturally offensive art, text, or a combination thereof. Racism and cultural insensitivity are unacceptable and no place in our games nor anywhere." You
Which is
fucking
why it's so prevalent in the Shades of Dominion.
yeah, you fucking cucks. This is why we hate you. And
Yeah,
the Shades of Dominion reserves all right to not give a damn about your feelings about whatever this bullshit is. We just want you to play the damn game. That that
yeah.
Right.
that's that's all I care about. Like that is the end all and be all of this. There is none of this oppression Olympics in Shades of Dominion. You're a shade mage.
1,
Yeah.
6,
Have you still got the Gatherer
12,
open?
16.
I can reopen it. Actually,
Okay.
So I was wanting to ask about this one because I want to apply it to my character, but it's going to cost 16, which means I have to wait till later to get it anyways. And if it's
yeah.
a character aspect, but if I do get to the point where my character is strong enough to have this, will it be accessible to me, being as I do have the ability to pay in blood?
Okay, so who asked me to open the Gatherer and what do they want me to search for?
That's enough.
I was going to get you to check Swords to Plowshares
Ah, Swords to Plowshares.
because that's an instant type. So I'm wondering about converting that one.
Instant speed, that would be an unchanneled spell, but its rarity is what's going to matter.
Yeah.
It it's
You
it's only an uncommon.
so it's going to be a 2-cost spell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in terms of the Shades of Dominion game mechanic, what?
Okay, so
You
it would cost 2 purity. It would
Okay.
be a unchanneled spell. You would
Okay.
banish a creature. Now, when you banish and you exile the creature, you send it from out of play. You always banish equal to the converted mana cost of the spell. So it's only going to be for 2 turns. However, um, what this would mean is that because you banish this creature or this individual, there's going to be a buff given either to it. So basically, you're healing it as you're sending it through through
Yeah.
the ether.
Well, the wording on the card is that its controller gains life. For
Yeah.
example, Kitty would summon something, and I were to use this particular spell, I would be giving Kitty a buff.
Yes.
Ah, okay. We'll take that one completely off the list.
I will take that into my character library.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've got the ambition library point. That's what I'm using it on. It'll hurt me, but I'll still take it.
Okay. So what else did we want to search up?
its controller. If it has no controller, how would the spell work? Say you banish a Shade Mage rather than a Shade's Shade.
Oh, the banish doesn't work on yeah, so starting shade mages when they have banish, the starting banish spells, the basic banish template doesn't work on legends or mythics.
Right. But that's base. This one here is, if we're looking at Swords to Plowshare and someone wants to put it in their library, such as myself at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
As a black character, I already have to pay life and use the character aspect paying blood.
Mm-hmm.
But how would, if I wanted to use it on another creature, because it isn't specifying non-legendary, non-mythics, how would it affect the Shade Mage or the controller of a spell?
A shade mage is a legendary creature in the game.
Right. But this one doesn't care if it's legendary or not. And that's where my problem's coming in.
Yeah, okay, that is because I have to take nuances like power level when casting these spells.
Right.
Because the effect on the game is you are literally taking an object and banishing it. And so I have to decide, well, am I going to allow the Eldrazi to just be banished by a one cost spell? And the answer is no, I'm not. You're going to have to earn that power. And you're not going to earn it just by saying, "Oh, look, here's my starter character." So banish itself as a system mechanic, as an inbuilt game limitation, starts off limiting uh, the power level of the creature you can banish. And banish itself is limited at the beginning, at the starter levels, to um, to exclude legendaries and mythics. And every shade mage is technically a legendary level creature.
So it doesn't matter what the spell is, if it has the, in Magic's terms, exile, but in Shade's terms, banish, it just won't target anything that is legendary mythic.
Correct.
That whole feature just doesn't work on legendaries, is what I'm understanding.
Correct.
Okay. So Swords of Plowshare just doesn't work on.
It would
Got
not
it.
work on a planeswalker. And to be fair, Swords to Plowshares doesn't target planeswalkers. So I'm in canon.
Yeah. Okay, so you recognize a Shade Mage as a planeswalker rather than as a creature.
Correct.
Which does tie in with the spiritual create, what I would consider spiritual creator of the game. It's what we were based off of, and it's what we're trying to almost replicate, but in a much more superior than any other previously put out version
Yeah.
of a Magic role-playing game.
All right. So let's do one more if you guys want to do that. If not, I'm ready to call it a night.
Ninjutsu.
Oh,
Any
fuck
spell with
you.
ninjutsu.
Oh, fuck you. I actually covered that in a previous interview with Mildra. Ninjutsu is a character aspect. It's going to be a bomb character aspect. And it would be one of those character aspects with a BAMF shade affliction to come with it. And it would be one of those things you definitely build to, but it would be an effect where instead of individual cards having ninjutsu, it's the it's the shade mage themselves having the power of ninjutsu over themselves and all their creatures. So, if, for example, a creature that you control attacks, you can pay a certain mana cost and automatically ninjutsu either yourself or another creature that's already summoned to replace it.
So they would just poof and replace.
Yes, and that would be a character aspect. It wouldn't be an individual spell, and
Okay.
it wouldn't be attached to just specific to specific creature templates. This would be an ability you could trigger for any of your shade summons.
Right. And then one last ability I want to discuss before we can close this out. We kind of discussed Daybound and Nightbound, but other cards that change based off of a certain event that happens within the game. Say you pay so much and a spell will flip. There is a black-blue vampire horror spell out there. The blue side is a 0/4 with cannot be blocked and pay 4, transform it, and then um at the beginning of your upkeep or something like that, beginning of your end step, you may pay 1 black and transform this creature and it turns into the 0/4. For spells that have that aren't based off of time, like with Daybound and Nightbound, how would our spells work with that? Is that also going to tie in with the whole Daybound, Nightbound concept of they would get better at night when you have that character aspect?
Um, I'll be completely honest. It would. How do I put this?
Let me go find the card for you.
I'm trying to think of a build where that would be advantageous on a tabletop roleplay setting, and that's really what's more important to me is how would it look in a roleplay setting, and how could I um, take that experience and make it better rather than not just better, but sincerely and genuinely representative of what that mechanic represents. I understand what morph is, and I understand what transformation is, and if I were to take on those aspects, I would try to do the best I could by them in a role play dynamic. I'm not going to worry too much about the mechanics when I get to that.
This is Tormentor. I think that's a spell I was looking at. Okay, yeah. So Elusive Tormentor is pay 1, discard a card, transform it. It is a 4/4.
Well,
On the
what
other
is
side,
this?
it is Elusive Tormentor. It is a Shadows of Innistrad rare for 2 black black. Pay 1, discard a card, transform Elusive Tormentor for 4. Flip side, creature elemental, hexproof, indestructible, insidious mist, can't be blocked and can't block. When it attacks and isn't blocked, you may pay 2 and a black. If you do, transform it. So you swing with a 0/1 that has hexproof and indestructible that cannot be blocked. And because it can't be blocked, you pay the 3 and it deals 4 damage without anything you can do. And all you got to do is just pay 1 in Shade's terms, exhaust the ready spell. This is obviously a late game spell because it is a rare.
Oh my god. Kitty,
Yeah.
go to corruption.
Go to corruption.
Go down to darkness.
Right. I am so gonna get my ass chewed, aren't I?
Look at Shadow Walk.
So I'm looking at corruption. I'm looking at darkness. You said death.
Yeah, go down to combat. I believe it's either combat or yeah, it should be combat.
Shadowhawk. You may pay 1 unstained shade to become an incorporeal dark mist. You can move across shadows. In this form, you cannot attack or be attacked. You cannot speak. You cannot be dealt combat damage. Spells work normally and will not be able to be capped. Okay, but this is working on you, not on the creature. What that aspect does is it turns you into the Elusive Tormentor instead of letting Elusive Tormentor be a spell you cast.
You know
And
what?
elusive tormentor is a block rather than an attack. And go ahead.
Oh, how's it going, Psy Phoenix?
Not too much.
Welcome to the live stream.
Okay.
Yeah, we were just talking about the game and we were actually about the log on off, but Kitty decided to ask about something that I had already created because it's one of the key features of darkness is turning into a mist, as if the
Right.
shade
Okay.
as if the Shade Master would have forgotten about this.
No. So again, that is turning you into it, and it's stopping you from being able to attack. Elusive tormentor is allowed to attack. He just can't defend himself. He's
Okay,
indestructible and
go
has hexproof.
go scroll down.
Mm-hmm.
The,
What am I looking for?
look at the 12 or 15 one.
You may now attack normally while using Shadow. Oh. Okay, so
Yep.
15 Shadow Mastery allows you to use Shadow Walk more effectively.
Yeah.
Okay, but again, that is turning you into it instead of it being a spell you can cast.
Tomato.
I
I
don't even
mean,
know what game you're talking about.
Shades of Dominion.
the Shades of Dominion
Oh, I gotcha.
is a game that I
I
made.
know what I'm looking at now. Okay, never mind.
Okay. All right.
Also,
So,
being on YouTube, you should shill that out to every single person.
Oh, yeah, should I?
Dude,
yes.
I've been trying to sell Shades of Dominion at my fucking Jimmy John's.
Nice.
Dude, I am the.
Yes.
I was talking to my coworker the other day who's been playing D&D. I'm like, hey, I'm working on Shades of Dominion. You interested? He's like, yeah, sure. So I'm working on it.
I've been listening to. I just barely started listening to Nick Ricada's latest stream with I don't know what his name is, but the guy that runs Kiwi Farms
Oh, nice.
or the
Yes.
owner.
Somebody was saying earlier today that Keffels is apparently going after. I can only see that end badly.
That Keffels is going after Kiwi Farms. You cut out.
Going after Rakita.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, now no one ever accused of Keffels of being intelligent. Now, have we?
That's lightly akin to setting a shrew against
You cut out again. A shrew against what?
a shrew against a tiger.
I mean, you could give it a disease.
Well, I mean, I would also compare it to sending Hassan Piker against Sam Hyde.
I'm coming.
Politics again.
Or Sam Cedar against anyone.
Oh God. Sam Cedar versus Blair White, and it's still not a fair fight.
You know, let's be fair. The only fair fight that Sam Cedar could ever entertain is if he actually got to fight the real shoe on head.
I don't know. I have a suspicion that little Canadian girl is a. Wait, no, she's American, isn't she?
She's
Well,
American.
she's only
Okay.
Canadian when she's on the border.
Well, she's Canadian by injection. No, we'll leave that alone.
Canadians are on the border's a pretty good place to eat. Fucking Canadians. What am I thinking? Y'all are confusing me.
I'm fairly certain that on the border is not a Canadian reference.
No, it's an entire restaurant. I used to live right next to one.
The restaurant on the border is not a Canadian reference.
No, completely lost me there.
Mexican food.
I heard. I know it's Mexican food, but you said on the border, which made me think of the restaurant.
Now, I'm pretty certain Sam Cedar would lose to Blair White. I'm shoe on head might actually have a shot.
Yeah.
A physical fight or a discussion?
No,
Slash, you can't have
No,
a discussion with
physical.
him because he's an idiot. But
No, physical fight, like
you
fisticuffs.
can't have a fair debate with Sam Cedar.
well, you're pitting whether she can fight or her lack of ability to fight versus his just wimpiness, which I'm assuming is great.
Have we
I,
closed our
I
stream?
look, I think that I think that if he shot her bunny, she could take him.
I'm gonna
There
concede this chat.
there are bunnies in Minecraft, by the way. I'm just saying.
What if there was a bee in her shoe?
Oh, she'd open a portal into another dimension and kill.
I didn't even get that reference, and you keep cutting out. It's very homosexual.
Amber Turd.
Oh,
No, that was oh, what's that? That multiverse.
That was stepped on a bee. That was stepped on a bee.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, no, the whole there was a bee and it scared me. That's the multiverse of madness thing.
Oh, I didn't watch that.
I don't blame you, and I'm kind of sorry I did.
I didn't watch Thor: Love and Thunder either.
I won't be doing that either. Pretty much everything after Endgame. Ugh.
Wait, what's Endgame?
Oh, the
Spider-Man
last.
was okay. The Spider-Man one was okay.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. A lot of member berries.
you know, I'm just embarrassed when the comic book industry is so thirsty for pussy that we have to that we have to show Hemmingsworth's ass
Yeah.
just to try and get women to the theater. I mean, we've already
Dude, have you?
What's really bad about that is if they had done that to any female character, there would have been a massive up.
look. All I'm saying is the gaming industry and media in general owes me an apology for what they did to Triss on Witcher, and they need
Yes, sure, I fully agree.
I whatever whoever that babe was on Firefly needs to play Triss Marigold.
Christina
Yep,
Hendricks.
that's the
Not
one.
actually head.
Who cares?
You guys heard about this new comic book that came out in 2022 about an old 1980s comic called New Team?
What?
There is
no
Oh, you know what I'm talking about.
no. That is when you introduced it. That was too meta for me to take seriously in any context. No,
I'm gonna go find you the cover book art real quick.
we're ending the stream right now.
Yeah, if you need to.
All right, everyone, stay carnal and God bless. And Carnal's still not here, Susan. So bye.